Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Right, before we begin, I'm talking at the bulk of the podcast, I would like to give a shout out to @TanyPumpun on Instagram for the the cover art. Okay, and a shout out to @Asian spelled A_SIANAA on Instagram for the opening theme. Thank you guys so much for your help. They really add to the podcast, make it feel more professional. Because, I'm trying out here to do my best, along with some other people's help in the background and the shadows, as you know. So, thank you guys so much. Let's get into the podcast. Hi, I'm Angela. I talk a lot, and I like anime. So, anyway, let's talk about it. So, Sakamoto desu ka? Right, so Sakamoto desu ka, or its English name, haven't you heard? I'm Sakamoto. It's basically about this high school kid who's in his first year, who is the coolest person in his class, if not even his school. And it's considered a comedy, a slice of life, a school, and a setting show. And the manga artist is Nami Sano. And again, guys, I'm telling you, I'm not doing this on purpose. It's written by a woman again. But what does that say? What does that say about me? What does that say about anime in general? I'm not gonna say. It can be implied. But anyway, it was aired in 2016 from April to June. There's about 12 episodes. And unlike my previous episodes, I'm not going to go too much into detail about the actual plot. Since it's quite short, there wouldn't be that much to go into detail about it anyway. I'm just, because I want you guys to watch this. I'm going to urge you guys to watch it because I originally, saw it. It was either Pinterest or TikTok. Those are my two main social medias. Maybe a little bit of Instagram, but I don't go to Instagram to find anime to watch. I don't even find them. I don't even go there to find them. They're just it's the algorithms, guys. They know what I want. But anyway, the point is, I saw it on either Pinterest or TikTok, and it was one of them videos that was if you like this show, go and watch this show. And I usually don't pay attention to those shows, or I've already seen the show that they recommend you to watch. But I was actually curious about this because it said that if you like Psyche K or I'm gonna say the wrong title, the Disastrous Life of Psyche K, then go watch this show. And I had it in my list for a while, and I was you know what? I'm bored today. I'm sick of watching battle shonen or action. I want to watch something different. I want something to make me laugh. So I decided to watch this show, and I literally watched it yesterday and finished it yesterday. I started and finished it yesterday, and this show, you know what? It was better than I thought it was going to be, not going to lie, guys. But I'll go more into it into a second. Right, so I'm not one to, compare, shows, really heavily. I can say, oh, this show is like this show, or this show is, similar to that. But, because sometimes people get caught up in comparing shows, even though they exist completely in, a different universe. But what I will say, though, about Psyche K and about Sakamoto is why I can see why the TikTok I watched recommended you to watch it, because although in Sakamoto desu ka, there's no superpowers, so it's just normal life, hence the slice of life genre, but it still manages to be kind of as funny and as ridiculous, if that makes sense, as Psyche K. So I get if you enjoyed the humor of Psyche K, you'd also enjoy this show. Although I would say it's a little less ridiculous because, like I said, in Psyche K they have the factors of superpower, or he has the factor of superpowers, which changes, it elevates the ridiculousness, and also the universe that Psyche K is built on is crazy. They're not crazy, but very different to our own in some ways, but also similar to our own in some ways. Versus Sakamoto desu ka is it's pretty much the same as our world, but he manages to in this one, can't remember what episode it is, but in this one episode they're having a fire drill, right? And everybody experiences fire drills. It's just something that it's normal, right? But he jumps back into the building, Sakamoto, and finds his kind of friend, right? And saves him, even though it's a drill. I'm pretty sure there's no fire, but anyway, saves him, and then jumps out of the window of the school, and then uses he basically uses the sheet thing to like lower his friend from like the 3rd story or something to the ground, and he uses the same sheet and he just jumps out the window and uses it as like a glider. You know what I mean? Like no one does that in real life. It even says like in the corner of that scene, it's like, don't try this at home, kids. Highly dangerous. Wouldn't recommend, right? And I thought it was really funny to me because like he could have just walked out normally, but he decided to like jump. Like it plays into the fact that he's like cooler. That's actually kind of like the motto: the cooler or coolest person like in this universe. Like I love the little actually that reminds me. At the beginning of this, like almost every episode, there's like a weird kind of monologue thing that just describes how he came to this high school, and as soon as he came there, everybody loved him. The way he ate his lunch was stylish. The way he stood out in the hallway was stylish. The way he, like he was the cooler or coolest. And I don't know, like maybe some people would get sick of hearing that every episode, but I thought it was kind of funny. Another thing is, I watch this show in dub because I prefer to watch comedy in dub. With Psyche K being my exception because I first watched Psyche K in sub, and then I kind of didn't like it that much. And then I watched it, and I saw a lot of clips of it, obviously on TikTok in dub, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna rewatch the first season in dub, and it was really funny to me, and like I can't like get over it in that kind of sense. Although it is good in sub, like not gonna lie. Like if you watch it in dub, then you miss the whole yada yada bit, and like I found that good. But anyway, I watched Sakamoto Desuga in dub, which meant, I don't know, a lot of the jokes were in like kind of reference to Japanese culture and the language in sense, but like it was still well explained. Like in the dub, when they made a joke that was like about Japanese culture, or even if, I don't know, I didn't watch the sub, but I feel like in the sub you'd still have to put it, because if I was somebody who wasn't Japanese watching the show and then they made a joke, even if I'm watching the sub, like I still need a little bit of explanation because some of the jokes were ingrained in the culture, like I said. But like, here's an example. They made a joke about like mana beans, right? And mana beans are like a Japanese like game kind of thing where you use like chopstick to pick up like these beans, and it's used to like help like children or people who don't use chopsticks like learn how to use them, because obviously you're learning through like grabbing the like bean things, right? And they make a joke about it. But in the like dub, which I really appreciate, I don't know if it's in the sub, they like put like a little kind of like caption thing, and it tells you like briefly that it's like, oh, Mana Beans is like a Japanese chopstick game, just so that you can understand the joke. Like it might not be like instantly like a really hard laugh moment since you needed that bit of context to understand it, but you can still appreciate the joke. And also there's another joke, right, where basically Sakamoto, like the kanji for Sakamoto, like what's it called, background, some history. I'm learning Japanese because I kind of want to know a second language. I don't want to be stuck with English like my whole life. And I was like, maybe I can actually stick at this, because every time I start a language, I like drop it because I'm not actually interested in it. But since like this, I feel like Japanese is something that I could probably get into. Like I might not finish it, but like I want to be able to like have a conversation. You know what I mean? But anyway, back to this. So the kanji characters for Sakamoto are the characters for Slope Book, and they make a joke about that. In the thing, and again they explain it pretty well, and I was sat there like the whole show thinking, isn't that the character for Hon, which means book, but it's pronounced moto here? And like obviously if you know kanji, then like one character can like mean this, but like we pronounce like a bunch of different ways. But I still found that quite funny since I kind of understood it a bit, because he introduced himself, right, to like these people in this one episode, and he's like, hi, my name's Slope Book, and then in the caption bit it's like, yeah, there's characters for that. But still, I found that joke quite funny, and generally the like, cause I'm gonna talk about Sakamoto as a character, right? So Sakamoto as a character is like, if you haven't seen it, right? If you haven't seen him or it's basically, he's like a kind of like your like basic like tall, like kind of palish skin, and then like slick black hair and black glasses, and like he's what you, I feel like he's what you think of when you're thinking about a sophisticated person, you know what I mean? But like he talks quite a bit. Like he's still quite like in a lot of shows where the main character's like sarcastic or doesn't really talk, like they don't talk a lot, you know what I mean? But I feel like he talks quite a bit, which aids to the comedy, because like if you keep the main character silent the whole time, then like there's jokes, but nobody else in like this show can like understand, kind of like Psyche K. Like I went through the whole of Psyche K thinking that he was talking out loud, because I think I misread the first like couple lines or something in the first episode, and I didn't know that he was like everything he was saying, quote unquote, he was saying in his head. I was there thinking, oh, like everyone can hear him definitely, and then I got to like the last episode, I think in season 2, and then he like spoke for the first time like out loud. I think that's season 2, and then everyone's like, and then I was watching like a YouTube video about it, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, that's the first time he spoke, and I was like, wait, what? So he hasn't been speaking this whole time? So I had to go back, watch the first episode, and be like, oh yeah, it says that, doesn't it? It says that he's like, because he's speaking not telepathically. Is it telepathically to like his parents and that because they know about his powers? But everybody else, he's like not saying anything else to. So the whole show is just silent, which what like kind of makes it funny, but also at the same time it's like, so all these jokes and all these funny things he's saying, nobody else gets to like take part in them. But anyway, back to Sakamoto. Yeah, since he speaks a lot more for a main character, a main character of maybe his character type, I feel like it makes him more interesting. But also talking about like how the fact that Sakamoto talks quite a lot. His like dub voice actor is called Houston Hayes, and I feel like he does a really good job of conveying like the seriousness of like his character. What's that word? I can't remember. It doesn't really matter, but it starts with an S. But as well as like the like emotion in the voice, because often people complain, right, that like in dub there's not as much like emotion or delivery. It's not as good as like sub at least. But I think, especially in comedy, delivery matters, because obviously if somebody tells a joke flatly to you, you're not gonna laugh. Which is why I enjoy like dub comedy, because I feel like most of the time it's delivered pretty well. But I also got the studio. So the studio that animated it is called Studio Dean, and if you didn't know, they animated the first Fruits Basket, so the one in 2001. And I haven't seen the first Fruits Basket. I've only been watching the new one, and I haven't at this current moment. The Fruits Basket season 3 is airing, I think, and I decided I was gonna wait until like it had finished airing, so then I can just watch it all in one sitting, because I really like Fruits Basket. I mean, who doesn't? It's a good romance. Although I guess kind of spoilers. I've been shipping, well, not even shipping. I just like Yuki more than I like Kyo, but like I can see the appeal in Kyo, and I can kind of see why Kyo and Toru work better as like a couple. But like I like Yuki. But anyway, aside from that. Yeah, they animated the original Fruits Basket, which my friend's actually seen, and she's like, oh, and she's like telling me to watch the original one, but I really can't be bothered. And back to the manga, I forgot to say this earlier, she wrote and she illustrated it, like Nami Sano. But back to the studio, yeah, they animated the first Fruits Basket. But anyway, let's talk about like more like the main character's morality. So Sakamoto, like, often in shonen battle things, like the main character, I've talked about this before, they're like set on one goal, and they're like, I'm gonna become this, or I'm going to do this, or I'm gonna get revenge for this, right? But since the genre itself, slice of life, isn't set up for that kind of thing, it changes that anyway. But in Sakamoto's like case, he's like not, like he's not a saint, you know what I mean? Like he's not like gonna, like in one of the episodes, like he kind of he's like trying to help this person, but he's not gonna like directly blockhead help this person, which also plays into his smarts rather than his morality, because in like a lot of shows or whatever, the main character would just like dive in immediately to like go and try and help the person who needs to be saved, without really thinking about like how they kind of in their own way need to bring themselves up. Because when he meets his best friend, I'm sorry, I know I watched this yesterday but I can't remember his name, when he meets him, like he's like getting like extorted for money by these like bully guys, and then he's like he openly says to like Sakamoto, he's like, are you not gonna help me? And then he's like, I think you need to decide the best way for yourself to like how you want to spend your money and what you want to do with it. So he's not just like he's not just like jumping into the fight and like fighting off the bullies for him. Like he's kind of it's helping him help himself, if that makes sense, which I really like, because then when they become friends, he gives him the tool to like earn his own money, so he can realize the value of money by getting him a job. And then when they become friends, it's like it's more lengthy rather than just, oh, you saved me, you're so cool, I'm gonna become friends with you now, you know what I mean? Back to his morality, it kind of reminds me of like kind of like a silent voice, like in my last episode, like the human aspect of him, like just not jumping into anything, makes him more of a realistic character, because like not every person's gonna jump into everybody wants to help people, well, not everybody, but I feel like it's a common relatable feeling that you want to be able to help people when like they're in trouble or like stuff like that, right? But you're not just gonna jump into these situations without thinking, without like any way to talk yourself out of these, or else it's like, well, you could end up making the situation worse. But I'm gonna switch now. I might come back to this topic and talk about the prizes that this manga won. So this manga won the 2013 Comic Natalie Grand Prize. It also won some other awards, but I wanted to just pick one out. And since I'm talking about Sakamoto and like and the characters in the show, I'm gonna talk like the characters in the show are they're quite interesting. You know what I mean? Oh, I forgot to mention this. I was thinking about this yesterday after I finished watching it. I was like, most of the episodes aren't in Sakamoto's perspective, unless I'm wrong. But like, not many of them are like him. Like a lot of them are like other people seeing him being like really cool and doing his own thing, and like being like, oh my gosh, I want to be like him, or look at him, he's so cool, I wish I could be him, or what's he doing over there, you know what I mean? Like we have episodes from the perspective of the girl who likes, or so one of the girls who like him, this other girl who like takes photos of him but also likes him, from the perspective of the best friend, from the perspective of the people who are like, they're not in a, I don't know what they are, they're kind of like in a gang but not really, because it's not a gang, it's like a clique at school, but like they kind of not pretend to be like in a gang, but they're like the tough guys, if that makes sense. You have one from the perspective of these little kids who are like in, I must assume they're in like elementary, they might be in middle school, but they're like looking at Sakamoto and they're like, oh my gosh, he's so cool, but like one of them's like kind of jealous of him, and is like, oh, well when we get older we'll be able to be just as cool as him and stuff like that, right? Which again brings a different like perspective and narrative, because in like Saiki K it is from Saiki's perspective like mainly, but to have in Sakamoto to have other people looking in at him, it kind of makes the audience or the watcher or the viewer kind of feel for the person who's like looking at Sakamoto, rather than like him like deeply explaining. And also through the course of the show we don't actually learn that much about Sakamoto. Like in one episode we're trying to like, I guess if you read the manga probably I feel like you get more information on him, but don't really learn anything about his family. You don't even learn his like first name, because in one episode like when the girl's trying to like approach him, she's like, okay, I'm gonna call him by his full name, just to like what's it, because she's like trying to make him fall in love with her, but like she says calling him by his full name is like something really important, and then she tries to find out what it is, but she can't find out what it is because of some coincidences, right? So we don't even learn that about him, let alone like, so more or less, although he's like the coolest person and he's like super great or whatever, we don't learn much about him besides from the fact that he's cool. It's like more about what happens when other people interact with him and how their lives change, rather than how his life changes. Yo, I found out what that word was, because I was not gonna sit there for like ages trying to figure out what the word was, but it was stoic. Like I got it up on my phone. I read the dictionary definition for stoic: a person who can endure pain or hardship without showing their feelings or complaining. And to be honest, you see quite a lot of stoic characters in anime, because like often maybe it might be a societal attitude. If you show like how you're feeling, or if you're hurting, then one, you'll make others worry, or two, you'll make people will think you're weak. But this applies to Sakamoto, because in the like, it's not the last episode, I think it's the second to last episode, like this guy who's kind of been like building up his emotions from like the beginning of the show, because he's really kind of jealous of Sakamoto. He like finally like acts on it, and it's like he gets like a bat and like tries to assault him, right? And like Sakamoto's trying to give a speech to like the leaving seniors, so like he kind of at a point the guy falls off like this thing, and Sakamoto catches him, and then he's like really frustrated. He's like, why would you even bother with me, and starts like hitting Sakamoto's hand and stuff like that. Sakamoto just kind of enjoys it. He takes it because he knows if he lets go, he's gonna like, the person's gonna get hurt. So in that sense, he's quite a stoic person, and I feel like maybe a lot of people can relate. Like I like, as in like not showing their feelings. Like I'm somebody who openly complains. I openly like, if I'm feeling happy, if I'm feeling sad, I'm like, don't know, I'm quite expressive, you know what I mean? So, but I can empathize with people who don't want to show their emotions. Just for me it's hard. Like when I get like upset, I like try and like hide my emotions, but it literally never works. Like I feel like I'm like it lasts like 5 minutes, and then I immediately go back to like complaining about whatever just happened to me, you know what I mean? But still, stoic he's like, again, he doesn't really show many emotions throughout the show at all, but it is clear to us as like an audience that he does care about things and the people in his life. He's not just like doing stuff to do stuff. Like, he does genuinely have care. Right, I forgot to mention this before, and I just remembered because I was about to talk about the opening. But yeah, shout out to at @a_SIANAA, so basically Asian, for the music of this podcast. Because honestly, she did an amazing job. I know in real life she's such a sweet, nice person. Very much into Genshin. She spends too much money on that game, but who am I to talk? Everybody has something to spend their money on. And also shout out to Tani Pompon for the art of this podcast, because I had an idea, as you saw, if you saw the first episode, you probably saw the first artwork, and she kind of took that and she developed it and made it look even better. So thank you guys for that. I'll try and edit this I'll try and either edit this one or a different shout out to the beginning of the podcast. Because it's kind of in the middle, so no one will hear. Not in the middle towards the end, so not many people will hear it. So I'll try and fix something out. But I'll obviously remember to put your names in the description. And now it's time for me to talk about the music, or the opening actually. Well, the what's it called? The original soundtrack or the score is good. It suits, like, what else am I supposed to say about it? It's pretty good. But the music of the opening is done by Nate Wants to Battle, and I feel like it matches the contradiction, the juxtaposition between the average life and then like how cool this guy is, because Sakamoto is like as cool as possibly could be for like normal human life, if that makes sense. He's not like superpower, not extra, not nothing else, you know what I mean? But he is like overpowered in the sense of like actual life, and overpowered like characters is becoming one of my new favorite genres, because I literally just finished watching One Punch, and I really liked it. I'm literally thinking about maybe reading the manga, but One Punch, I need to stop saying one, was so fun to watch. And I also enjoy shows like Mob Psycho 100 and Lucky Gay. But the music is good. It's like very intense while he's just doing like normal average day things, and I think the ridiculousness, as I said before, and the contrast, I was about to say contradiction, actually maybe you could use the word contradiction there, adds to like the comedic value of the show as well. And also about this show, you know, like classic comedic tropes, while I'm talking about those, so like often comedy, quote unquote, will just be like one of the characters being like a pervert, or like one of the characters like sexually harassing like a different character, and it's like, it's not funny. Like, I'm half the time in some of these like because they implement these kind of jokes into like shonen as well, because I don't know, that's what they think maybe young boys like will laugh at. Maybe they do, but the point is, like, when these kind of jokes just come up, I'm just sat there like either stone faced or cringing. It's like, okay, am I supposed to laugh? Like, I'm dying. Like, laughter is pouring out of my mouth. Like, that's exactly how I feel. Like, except in this show, they don't really use any of those comedic tropes, and they take maybe like, for example, one of the like comedy factors is kind of the best friend's mom is in love with Sakamoto because he reminds her of a K-drama like main character, which I think is funny because I'm into K-dramas. And what I'm gonna say is, I think I'm gonna use this podcast to talk about more than anime, because I like my friend suggested me to watch Vincenzo, and I loved it way more than I thought I was gonna like it. But K-dramas are long, so if I made an episode about a K-drama, it would probably take like 40 minutes to an hour, and I don't know if I have the full oomph to do that. But obviously, if you guys are wondering, which you probably aren't, some of my favorite K-dramas are It's Okay Not to Be Okay, Strong Girl Bong Soon, Weightlifting Fairy, Kim Bok Ju, W2 Worlds, Extraordinary You. What else do I like? Those are like the K-dramas I can think of off the top of my head. In comparison to anime, I haven't watched that many K-dramas, but I started watching K-dramas before I started watching anime. Probably because K-dramas are like a lot longer than anime. But still, wait, let me just throw in my little not hate comment. I don't like, what's it called? Oh, I literally forgot what it's called. I want to say Boys Over Flowers. I think it's Boys Over Flowers because I get Boys Over Flowers mixed up with Cinderella and the Four Knights. Like, I kind of like Cinderella and the Four Knights, but like not as much as not as much. Sorry, other way around. I liked Cinderella and the Four Knights, just not the ending and the guy she chose. But Boys Over Flowers, I think I watched 4 episodes of that. I quit it. I really didn't like it. And my friend was telling me the other day that the main boy or whatever that she ends up with in Boys Over Flowers is like the main character or one of the characters in The King. And I was thinking about watching The King, but I'm so off topic. Back to comedic tropes. Yeah. So the mom is into like K-dramas. And so she's like constantly going after Sakamoto, but it's not, you could say it's weird, but it's not creepy, if that makes sense. Like, they don't turn it into her like grabbing him or like forcing him to do anything. Like, it's just she's always chasing after him, and it's kind of like funny in how like serious and dramatic it is, probably because she's into K-drama, so she is that dramatic. And there's also, I'm trying to think of another comedic trope. There's this like one guy who's like in, like, he's in his 3rd year, but he's like, it's rumored to be that he's like a 30-year-old, right? And they take that, and it's quite funny, and they don't use it to make him like a perv who like secretly wants to like spy on all the like high school girls. Like, they just turn it into like he's kind of like not the leader, but he's like got the most, I don't know, authority over the high school, and he's kind of being a bit tyrannical, and like people want to get him out and stuff like that. Like, they could take so many like things in this anime you could take and make it weird for the purpose of comedy, but they don't. They make the comedy make sense and make it funny in its own world, which is what I really appreciate about this show. Well, I guess it's time for me to kind of wrap up this episode. I watched the 12 episodes. I haven't read it. There'll probably be like more information and more in depth about the actual story and the characters in the manga, as often there is. There's a couple OVAs that I didn't watch. But what I'd like to say about this anime is it's good. It's well good. You should go watch it. It's currently the summer for Britain, so Britain. Why did I say that? It's currently the summer for British kids. So I have I finished the first week. I've got like 5 more weeks left, including this week for the summer. So it's going to be a long summer of anime. I'm going to try and get out not as many episodes as I can, like with moderation. When September starts, I probably won't do as many episodes, or maybe I will, because I think I'm going to ask some teachers whether I can use some of the facilities to just like after school record some of these episodes. But next year I'll be in year 11. Woo! GCSEs. So I don't know if I'll have as much time to record as many episodes. So yeah, I had a great time talking about Sakamoto Desuka. So anyway, see you next time. That was such a bad outro.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.